Thanks for coming back. I'm just going to make a relatively quick one today. This is about fascism in Canada, which is, I have a channel about that. It's almost 3 years old, probably. I've made quite a few videos. Not that I know that I'm not viewed a lot. I know that. But I've been communicating, sending comments to a man named Viva. He goes by the name of Viva Frei, but that's not his name. He's a lawyer from Montreal, Quebec, which isn't a part of Canada. And I keep commenting to him because he now has all of a sudden discovered this word fascism in Canada. Where'd you get that from? You know, I feel like that guy who invented The Office, what's his name, Ricky Gervais, and it got taken over by an American who had his own TV show called the Office, and he stole almost word for word what the episodes in England were. So there you go. Anyway, Viva Frei doesn't answer me. He never answers me because I want to know why Quebec has a stranglehold on the Prime Minister's chair in Ottawa, but Quebec yet itself is not a part of Canada, and that's a fact. In 1981, Justin Trudeau's father, whose real name is Joseph, he has 6 names, so he picked another name, Pierre, because he wanted to be considered an intellectual. He studied in England and quit, I believe. Didn't finish his courses. He didn't like the English anyway. He used to wrinkle up his nose when he said English. Turns out his mommy is English. I mean, from England, for God's sake. United Kingdom. However, I digress. In 1981, Joseph Trudeau wrote the Constitution of Canada. Now, we just had a guy who was interviewed here. I watched it on YouTube. He's the only living Premier of Canada who, in fact, he said, I helped write the Constitution. No, he didn't. His name doesn't show up there. A guy named Peter MacKay, and there was one other, but I think it's Brian Stanford is his name. Anyway, he goes on and on about how he tried to control Pierre and how he tried to do this and tried to do something else. It's goddamn horseshit. I was alive then. I was just out of university, nicely, trying to make a career for myself. And Pierre Elliott Trudeau, he's banging the women from Hollywood. And Hollywood is the center of communism for the United States. I don't know if you know that. In Canada, it's Montreal is the center of communism for Canada. So anyway, his wife, Joseph Trudeau's wife, liked to go to New York City's club, what was it called? Club 54? Studio 54? You know, hanging with the cool cats, having fun. But her husband liked the Hollywood girls. And all the men in Ontario, he castrated Ontario. I'll tell you what he did. If you couldn't speak French, you couldn't work for the government of Canada. So anybody who was Anglophone, they called us at that time, you'd lose your job because you don't speak French. Wow. 25% of the population of Canada is Quebec, which is French. They speak a variation of the French language from France. It's not really, what do they call it in Haiti? They have a name for their language that they speak. I've forgotten what it is. Anyway, it's not pure land. Pure land just means pure wool. And Joseph Trudeau was half English, half French, of 2 minds. And the men in Ottawa and perhaps all of Ontario, they so envied him because he's hanging around with Barbara Streisand. Wow. Leona Boyd. Wow. Margot Kidder playing Indian on the back lawn of 24 Sussex Drive. They were having stand-up sex against a tree. Can you imagine? Who else was in there? Oh, Kim Cattrall, who sometimes is referred to as Justin Trudeau's mother. And Justin Trudeau's father is often thought to be Fidel Castro. I gotta say, Viva Frei doesn't bring these things up. Not yet, until he hears it from me first. And then somehow Viva Frei jumped right to the top of YouTube. Right out of the box. I've been into YouTube for almost 3 years. I'm not at the top. How do you do that anyway? Anyway, now we've got truckers going across Canada. The CBC, our national broadcaster, was bought by Justin Trudeau for, I think he paid $595 million, and then he paid another $90 million, which was taxpayers' money, and he's got the purse strings. The Quebec prime ministers have always done that. As soon as they get to Canada, they just love the money, and they spend it like drunken sailors. So anyway, here's Viva Frei right up there now, and he's copying some of the stuff that I used to say like almost 3 years ago now. He's dug it out somehow, and he hasn't given me any credit for it, but I wish he would. because the people of Quebec have to sign the Constitution. Otherwise, the Constitution is not valid. And Joseph Trudeau, the old man with 6 names, who was a billionaire playboy, never worked in his life that I know of, used to ride around on motorcycles screaming, the Nazis, don't go fight them, they're not your war. Anyway, he had this peculiar way of speaking, like when he beat up his wife, gave her a black eye. It's funny about that. The women of Canada like dictators. Actually, women around the world like dictators, because Hitler was mobbed by German women. I don't know if you know that. So was Mussolini in Italy, and so was Joseph Trudeau in Canada. And actually, there are sociologists who study this, or psychiatrists who study this. But perhaps it's just the way human history has been, or the history of primates. Because in the gorilla culture, the silverback gets the attention of the females. If you've ever seen pictures of silverbacks, they're about as powerful as 6 fully trained male Olympians. They are that strong and very intelligent, more intelligent than anybody gives them credit for. I digress. I like Viva Frei. I'd like him to comment back to me, but he doesn't do it. I feel a little bit like Ricky Gervais these days. Anyway, my friends are going to end this show. It's they're watching me, of course, as everybody's being watched in Canada. Health Canada is watching 33 million cell phones. They're tracking us by GPS. They want to know where you're going. You wearing a mask? Hey, did you get jabbed? People are dying from the jab. They don't talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about this. That asshole in the United States, Fauci. Fauci's killed 5 million people. He financed the goddamn thing out of Wuhan, China. The Democrats in the United States won't investigate. They like Fauci. Fauci's good for elections because you can just fill out your ballot, stick it in the mailbox, goodbye. And then you can fill out another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. Where does it stop? Well, we're going to have to find out. My friends are going to close out the show. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Wow. Pedro gives you his special gypsy glasses, and this is what you choose to look at. Pedro is not very sorry for you. Oops.